How amazing would it be to get paid to do what you loved? Instead of going to work grumbling every day, you would actually enjoy going to work. Today, we look into the life of David Katz, who was a game addict and was getting paid to be a professional gamer. A lot of people would have killed to be in David's shoes, but David did the opposite and killed to get out of it. Welcome to YARO Crime. Today, we'll be talking about the professional gamer who became a murderer. Before we continue, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with our latest videos. Now sit back as we take a look at the thrilling story about the pro gamer who became a murderer. Today, we bring you down to Baltimore, a city in Maryland famous for its riches and tourist attractions. But Baltimore also has a disturbing side. It has an area that some of us know has been popular for finding dead bodies, with a total of about 79 dead bodies found around its grounds. Most of the bodies were from a single homicide, but some of them were from a serial killer, Reginald Oates. Leakin Park is surrounded by the roughest areas in Baltimore, which might be part of the reason for the increased number of dead bodies. But today's story is not centered around the slums of Baltimore, but rather the opposite. Far away from the dreaded streets close to Leakin Park, we'd find the place where our story starts. The Katz family, which consisted of their mother Elizabeth, their father Richard, and two children, Brandon and David. Richard was a NASA engineer, and Elizabeth, their mother, was a toxicologist for the United States Food and Drug Administration. Information that would be significant to our story later on. Despite being born into an affluent family, David and Brandon still had a rocky childhood, with their parents getting a divorce when David was only 12 years old, which really took a toll on them, as they had to split their time between both parents. Both brothers attended Hammond High School in Columbia, which was southwest of Baltimore, where his classmates described David as shy, antisocial, and always keeping to himself. David spent a major part of his time playing competitive sports video games. David graduated from high school in 2011 and enrolled in the University of Maryland 3 years later to major in environmental science and technology. But it was no secret that David was not really interested in education or work, as he was completely immersed in the video game world. His focus on the video game world eventually paid off as he began his professional gaming career in June 2015. Under the alias Mr. Sliced Bread, he joined the Buffalo Bills in the Madden 17 Series Championship and got his first win. He was initially seen as an underdog, but David later started getting noticed as he took out any opponent who crossed his path and got a lot of attention for his arrogant interviews. He later went on to represent the Buffalo Bills at the Madden 17 Club Series Championship, which was a very prestigious honor for a gamer. Despite falling behind in his educational goals, David was in a great place as he was making waves, making good money and building a reputation in the gaming world. David might have been living every gamer's dream life, but it also came with a lot of challenges, most of which originated from his disturbing childhood. Records from the police showed that a lot of calls to the police department had been made in the first 16 years of David's life. Although it was unclear what the calls were about, they were said to have been related to domestic disputes and mental illness. David was known to have a series of mental health issues that started at the age of 9, and by the time he was 12 years old, he had seen multiple psychiatrists and been put on several antipsychotic and antidepressant medications. His mental issues seemed to be a part of his parents' divorce, as his mother exposed David to a lot of antipsychotics and antidepressants at such a young age, which was not very okay with his father. Against the will of his father, he was put on drugs like Abilify, which was an antipsychotic drug used to treat schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He was also prescribed Prozac and Lexapro. After he had experienced a mental health crisis, David's mom took him to a range of psychotherapists, psychiatrists, and social workers. And there was said to be an instance where David was handcuffed by the police after he had locked himself in his mother's car to avoid going to see his doctor. David's story did not get any better as he was admitted into a psychiatric institution at the age of 14, where he was further exposed to high doses of antidepressants. David was also admitted to 3 other psychiatric institutions that same year, one of which is under investigation for sexual abuse of its adolescent patients. David's parents were divorced, and though he had to split his time between them, David preferred to be with his father as he had a disturbing relationship with his mother. David's mother was said to have on some occasions packed David's bag and asked him to leave her house, and one of those occasions was on Mother's Day. David's mother was said to have enrolled him at a wilderness camp for troubled teens without an official court order. In 2009, David was said to have sent a letter to the judge during a review of his parents' custody battle in which he lamented about his mother. He spoke about how he hated her and how she would get drunk and abuse him, had called the police on him, and had sent him for psychiatric treatments for no reason. As David turned into an adult, his frequency of seeing mental health professionals decreased. Besides his declining drug use and appointments, David still showed signs of antisocial behavior. He would go days without bathing and would play video games all day and all night. He was diagnosed with dysthymia, which is a persistent depressive disorder, and to add to this, he was also diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, which is defined as a pattern of angry and irritable moods. David was completely engrossed in his gaming and was failing out of school. Though David was enrolled in university, he was never registered for any classes. During his Madden tournaments, the other gamers described David as being awkward and rude. He was never caught making eye contact with any of the other players during gaming sessions. Though David was known to be an awkward guy and only a few knew about his aggressive behavior, no one really saw anything about it until August 26, 2018. It seemed like a regular day at the Jacksonville indoor market and everything seemed normal. But no one knew that an event would occur that would change a lot of lives. A Madden NFL 19 video gaming tournament was hosted at the GLHF bar, which had about 130 to 150 participants. David had just lost a game, refused to shake the hand of the winner, and left the tournament. It didn't seem like anything at that time, as David was known to be awkward and antisocial, and they probably just thought he was being his regular self. But minutes later, they got the shock of their lives as David returned with one of the 2 handguns he had brought to the event. David fired 12 shots, killing 2 and injuring 10 others, then committing suicide afterwards. One of the tournament announcers said he had been doing an interview with the first victim before he was shot fatally, and that it seemed like David had intentionally targeted him before he started shooting indiscriminately. The gunfire was first reported on social media by participants of the tournament, and footage of the shooting was later uploaded to YouTube. Individuals were urged by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to stay away from the area, while the SWAT officers evacuated and searched. The president of the firefighter union reported that they were in training when victims had run up to them for help, due to the location being next to the St. John Rivers. The Coast Guards were later called to sweep the surrounding area. The 2 victims who were killed, one of whom was Elijah Clayton, age 22, who was a pro gamer under the aliases True and True Boy, whose decision to attend the tournament was said to have been last minute. A video that circulated on social media was said to have shown a red dot on the victim's chest from the laser sight on Katz's handgun. The second victim who was murdered was Taylor Robertson, age 27, and from Ballard, West Virginia, who was also a professional gamer under the alias Spot Me Please. 11 others were said to have been injured and rushed to the hospital. No one knows what really got into the head of David that day. Maybe he had been fed up with living such a lonely, secluded life, or he had been off his medications for too long, and his mental health conditions got the best of him. But one thing is for sure. His action that day is one that will not be forgotten in a hurry. Both the people who lost their loved ones and the people who were there will forever be scared by the events that took place. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think about this case in the comments, and please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.